I've also seen it outweigh and almost cause them to say no to what are wonderful opportunities because it's like, I can't leave my team. So they're so self-sacrificing that they potentially will self-sacrifice at that stage. So I think that's the elephant in the room is the guilt, and I think it should surprise people that comes up and how to handle it. Have you
Figure that
ever
out.
weighed your head?
No, I've not weighed my head.
Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh show.
So you've decided to move on. You've got a new job. You're a leader. You've built an amazing team. 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, whatever the number is. You've worked your butt off to build that team. And now you're leaving. Maybe you have a little bit of guilt paired with a little bit of excitement. That's what today's episode is about. It's about all those feelings and how you manage moving to your next gig, but leaving behind what you've built. Ooh, Bob, I heard a little bit of juice from Bob there. What's going on?
No, I just I think you hit the key thing is guilt.
Yeah.
I think so going back what you said, you've worked, and we've talked about this a lot in the Metacast, is you've worked your butt off to build a good team. Not just hiring, but mentoring, building, feedbacking, all of that stuff. You build a great team. And now you want to leave for whatever, let's say there's a great opportunity out there.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that's hit me always, and I've talked to a lot of leaders in transition. I've talked to you, I think probably historically, Josh, when you're in this position. I've talked to other people. And one of the top two emotions are excitement and anticipation, but also this tremendous guilt of I'm leaving my team. And I actually think the good leaders, so the bad leaders, I'm just going to say this, the bad leaders, it's the anticipation and no guilt or very little guilt.
Yeah.
But what I think is the good leaders who have really been exercising these balanced attributes that we're talking about historically, they feel terrible. I've also seen it outweigh and almost cause them to say no to what are wonderful opportunities because it's like, I can't leave my team.
Yeah.
So they're so self-sacrificing that they potentially will self-sacrifice at that stage. So I think that's the elephant in the room is the guilt, and I think it should surprise people that comes up and how to handle it. So what do you think?
Yeah, that was one of the things that the first time was at the Dude, where I had invested so much and I had the opportunity to just like build exactly what I thought it could be, and it became that. And then an opportunity, like Bob said, came out of left field, and I felt like I don't know when an opportunity like this is going to come by, but like, look what we've done, look at who we are. And I just knew it was going to hurt me. I knew it was going to hurt the team, but it was something that I felt like if I didn't jump on it, then I'd be regretting it. And that's a thing that I didn't want to do. And so that was the first time where guilt was such a major player for me throughout my career. Leading up to that, there was a little bit of guilt, but I never felt guilt like that before, because I knew people had invested and helped that become a thing. And that was a real challenge, and it was difficult. And I remember when I shared it with people, and I remember people, as soon as I said what was happening, people like walked out of the room because they were upset. They couldn't take it. They didn't want to hear it. And I had to cycle back with them and check in with them, right? Those are people that really care. And so you have a responsibility as a leader to like go check in with them and make sure they're okay. So that's what this is about, is you've made that choice. You've done all this amazing hard work. You've probably, if you've done it effectively, built an organization where it can run without you. So it's less about how's this going to work. You've built great leaders. You've grown that team. They've got this. And that's a reason why you're okay leaving. But there's the emotional side of like, dang it, what am I leaving? And then there's the second guessing and everything that goes into that. So that's what we're going to try and explore, and hopefully provide any leaders that are out there that are going through this now, or whenever you listen to it, be it a year from now, or whenever you find this, that hopefully we can help you navigate that. And that's really what this is about.
Well, I know we've done a succession planning episode not too long ago, so we should probably cross-link that in this episode. But I think a big part of your preparation, so there's team building. We've talked a lot about in the Metacast, building that team, building a strong team that can stand, an autonomous, self-directed team, leaders, developing your cadre of leaders. And so that's a big part of feeling good about leaving, is you have structure behind. But succession planning is sort of a vertical topic in that, of how are you thinking about succession? How are you thinking about, how are you developing those leaders? How are you separating yourself? How are you giving space over time? Like, how are you going on vacations and
Right.
leaving space behind, or, having private time and just leaving space behind? That's part of building that team, and succession planning, and hiring is a part of it as well. It's the internal and the external aspect of that. And that's a big part of it. If you're doing those two things, you're still going to have the guilt.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're doing those two things, you're probably going to have more guilt.
Yep.
Because you're investing so much of yourself in your team that even though they're going to do fine, you're connected to them. Maybe it's care. You care about them.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you love your team. You care about your team, and that's a part of it as a leader. And so and you're going to miss them. And there's a responsibility that you have. I've always felt a responsibility to my team, they're my team or teams. I'm responsible. I'm looking out for them. I'm protecting them, even no matter how independent they are. Right. And it's not ego. It's sort of like I don't know. I don't know how to characterize it.
So it feels parental, and I've always tried not to bring into the leadership space of, like, I care about my team or think about my team like they're my kids, because that just doesn't feel right. That feels wrong. But it's a parental thing, and the reason why I view it as that is that, let's say you have a member of your team that's just a rock star, but there's no next step for them within your organization, but they find a next step somewhere else. I'm betting money you're happy. You're excited for them that they found their next goal. Yes, you're going to lose a member of your team. Yes, you're going to be sad, but you're happy and excited for that person that gets the opportunity that they deserve, that you, for whatever reason, you're not able to make that happen here, right? Stuff just happens within organizations. So that's the same thing as a parent of, I want my children to go and do bigger and better things. And yes, there's little bits of me that are sad, but I'm also like, yes, like they're doing their thing. They're achieving their goals. They're hitting their dreams, and they're making it happen. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to miss them. Yes, all that stuff, but I'm fired up for them. And the same thing happens for folks on my team. But yet there's always that responsibility as a leader of, I help shape this, and I have a responsibility to help shepherd and guide and protect all of this team, right? And so it really is that same level of care that I have, where you want them to go off and do bigger and better things, but then when it's your turn, you've got that bit of guilt. It's like, oh man, what am I doing? So that's,
Do you remember, I don't remember, there was a cartoon, The Coyote, and there was a sheepdog.
Yeah.
Ralph, the sheepdog. Then there was Wile E. Coyote, and the sheepdog would be guarding the sheep, and Wile E. Coyote would be using Acme products to try to sort of get rid of Ralph. Yeah. And there was one cartoon where they checked in. They actually punched their time clocks. Yep. And it's like they had their little lunch. Hi, Ralph. Hi, Sam. How you doing? Then they checked in. The dog went out and did their job. Yeah. I think of leadership as being that dog. So you may think of it as parental. The metaphor it's part that for me, but it's part that I'm the sheepdog. Right. I've always had that. I don't think I've ever shared this with anyone because it's sort of silly, but I'm protecting the sheep. They're not sheep, right?
Right.
But there's evil CEOs, there's evil C-level folks around. There's like lots of coyotes around the typical organization, and Ralph never lost. Ralph always won. no
Yeah.
matter how no matter how many Acme guns and equipment the coyote had, Ralph did just nonchalantly, very calmly. You could never even see Ralph's eyes. You never got so upset that you
Right.
could see his eyes, right?
Yeah.
It just Ralph did his job, and
Yeah.
that's a metaphor for me as a leader. It's like I'm here to build. I'm here to protect. That's my job. So we're. I think the guilt is that the better you've done a job as a leader, I think the more, I'm going to generalize, the more susceptible, the more guilt you'll have. If you're leaving an organization and you and I'm if you have very little to zero guilt, I'm going to say something maybe sharp to you. You've sucked as a leader. I'll just say that you've probably been a little bit too self-centered as a leader. So there's like the guilt measure, the guilt metric
Yeah.
when you're leaving.
Well, and that lines up with the experience that I've had where I didn't feel real guilt until I became a real leader. And I blossomed at the dude. There were leadership roles that I had before. I wasn't good. I thought I was good. Then I moved to North Carolina, worked with Bob, learned some things, really started to focus on what it meant to be a great leader because I just figured out I wasn't the leader that I wanted to be. And then being at the dude was the first time where I felt like, okay, I'm doing this for real. So that lines up with everything Bob's saying, that once I got really good at it and did an amazing job of building a great team, that's when like it came out of nowhere. I remember going through the hiring process and then it became a decision point and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like it had never hit me before. Like I never thought about it before. And then it hit me like, holy crap, what am I doing? I think about all of these people. I've hired every single person, like 100 plus people. I've hired I care about these people and I'm leaving. What a total jerk, like it's a challenge. And then what was interesting was, after that, this didn't help the situation, but after I said that I was leaving, I was at a sporting event with one of my kids, right? They were, 6, 7, 8 years old. And it turns out that we were playing a team with one of my team members' kids was on it. And the person was great. And he came over, he said, "Hey, how are you doing? It's really sad to see you go, but I'm excited for you." All of those things. Like he handled it like a champ. Then his wife came over. And his wife came over and she was pissed off. And she said, "Oh, you're the asshole. You just hired my husband away from a good job and he's coming to work for you when you're leaving. You're an asshole." And I swear she wanted to slap me. And, I like, "Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. It was a tough situation and I'm sorry." And man, that was the first time where I'm like, boy, I guess I am a jerk, right? Like it didn't help the mental stuff I was going through, but it kind of confirmed, what I created, which was cool, but kind of bad, right? Because I was leaving it behind and no one wants to be that guy. But sometimes there's, you have to make a choice for what's right for you and your family. And this was one that I felt was the right thing.
I mean, that dovetails. I have a tale. No one's called me the asshole, but I was the asshole. So I've hired people or I've influenced people to come to work. I've had an influence on people in my orbit historically where people want to work with me. So I remember, I'll use Mary Thorne's name in vain. So I once was working at Deutsche Bank and I'm like, "Mary, you got to come over here and work with me. Mary, this is just, we need you." And Mary went through the interview process. No, she wasn't going to work directly with me. But I was the asshole who was, sort of influencing her to come. She interviewed, got an offer, signed up, was going to arrive in 3 weeks. And guess what Bob did? Bob left before she arrived.
Oh my gosh, before? Holy
Yeah,
cow.
before.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm the bigger asshole,
And
Josh.
she's still friends with you? Like, I don't know.
And
Man.
she's still friends with me.
Gosh,
Um,
goodness
and
gracious.
and and it's I mean I'm not proud of that moment. I've done that like 2 or 3 times to people. But I want to lean into what Josh said. So there's this what do you do at the end? If you've done your job, if you've built good teams, if you've been congruent, if you've been ethical, uh, then what I'd say is don't be too hard on yourself. If you need to leave, now I'm not saying it was a little awkward for me
Yeah.
leaving before Mary showed up, but it was I needed to leave. I was burned out there, and it was a good opportunity. I think Mary stayed there for a couple years, had a real big Mary impact, and it was an incremental place in her journey. But you have to put yourself first. And if you've done a good job, you have to trust that those behind you, and this is true as well. They're going to do just fine without you. There's going to be some turbulence. I know Mary just switched roles where she's at, and she had a real hard time. She switched roles and she left people behind. And I think the good ones always have this dilemma, but you have to put yourself first. And I've coached a lot of people in this position, and sometimes they let the guilt overwhelm their
Yeah.
decision making. And I think that's a mistake. You have to put first things first. You put your teams first. If you did a good job, pat yourself in the back, give yourself credit, right? And then support yourself and support your journey. And you have to separate those two things and don't and move on. And clearly, I didn't feel too guilty about dancing out the door because it was the right thing for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I think is teasing those things apart. There's you, and then there's the jobs that you do and the legacy you leave behind. And I think Josh, to finer point, Mary, because of the way I conducted myself,
Yeah.
because of the way I talked to her, because she knew, right? I was transparent with some of the reasons, etc. Whatever. It's how you conduct yourself that really matters with folks, and we have a good relationship to this day.
Yeah. There's 2 points I want to make. One, just as I talked about, you're going to be excited for a member of your team that gets an opportunity that you know they should have. It will take a little bit, but your team will be excited for you, assuming you're leaving for the right reasons. It's not just like, oh, whatever. Assuming you're making the move for the right reason, it really is an opportunity that is something that you're not going to get here wherever you are. Once that sinks in, once the shock kind of goes out the window and they have a chance to process it, you'll find that people will circle back with you and they'll be
Yep.
excited and they're happy
Yep.
for you. They don't love it, and that's okay. But they're excited because they know it's the right thing for you. And just like you care about them, they care about you. So
Yep.
it'll get there, but there's that first couple of days, sometimes a week, where people really struggle with it. And the hard part is that we as leaders often put ourselves last. So
Yep.
now we're choosing to put ourselves first. And that's really hard when you've spent the last N number of months or years putting yourself not first, maybe even last. And now you've got to flip the script and say, okay, I've got to do something different than what I've been doing the whole time. And so I find it really helpful to be really thoughtful about that and recognize this is a different mode of operations for Josh or Bob or whoever you are, of let me separate out Josh as a leader. Let's put Josh as a leader over here. And now let's think about Josh as a leader within his family, somebody that's trying to grow a career, whatever the drivers are for you. Is this the best thing for me? And trying to figure that out. And something you can do, just like Bob mentioned, reach out and talk to people. Reach out and talk to people that you trust, that know you, that care about you, that you can bounce it off of, and get a different idea of opportunities or challenges or changes. It's just talk to people. get help. Don't try and fight this all by yourself. And then lastly, again, just like you're happy for folks to get an opportunity that you can't give them, they're going to feel the same way. But but that first initial reaction, there's no avoiding it. It's awful. It hurts. People will be mad. People will be sad. People will cry. There will be all kinds of emotions, and everybody's going to be different, and everybody's going to process it at their own speed. But always circle back with people and just check in after that.
Maybe I want to wrap this up. I don't know if do you have more to say. I think we're landing it, Josh. Another way to measure how you handled this stuff as a leader is how people reach out to you later in life, not within 6 months of your leaving, to another opportunity, but maybe 6 years later. If you run into someone 5 years later, 10 years later, and they talk about the role that you have. So if you look at it from a micro perspective, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of angst. But if you look at it from a macro perspective, and I think good leaders need to do that, you've touched lives. You haven't just led people and managed people, you've touched their lives. I'm going to say this, it's going to sound funny, and I mean it that way, but I also mean it seriously. Josh Anderson has touched people's lives. People are talking about Josh Anderson. He talks about the dude, for example. The dude is in his portfolio of companies he's worked at. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's people at the dude that to this day, periodically think back to Joshisms and strategies, or how he handled a particular situation, or how he handled his departure, etc., etc., etc. We're in it for the long game, everyone. And that's what matters. So building that team at the dude, Josh did a phenomenal job of building that team at the dude. I don't know how many of them survived today. People went their different ways, etc. He touched a bunch of lives at the dude. And now they're going out into different companies, and they're affecting and influencing them. And I've heard the same thing. So that's your measure. That should be your measure. That's short term. Have maybe a little guilt or whatever, and sort of serve yourself, but also realize that you're a legacy keeper. You're a legacy maker, and your influence far exceeds that individual moment. And that's why. That's one of your motivations. That's probably my prime motivation as a leader. Is what am I talk about legacy. That's an intangible word. What gets me jazzed up as a leader is the people, the humans that I've influenced over the years. And you'll never know.
Right.
But you will know, how did I conduct myself there? How did I show up there? And that's what's important about it. Josh, final words?
Yeah, what I think about, again, football, surprise, surprise, is I think of a coaching tree, right? You talk about, there was this coach that had all these great coaches. So like with Nick Saban, right? There's the Saban tree of coaches that are all head coaches in the NFL or large college teams or whatever. That's ultimately what I'm hopeful that I can create, is that I can hope and create leaders, and those leaders go and create more leaders. And it just keeps happening, so it spreads. And that's exactly why Bob and I do what we do, is we are trying to, similar to what Bob said, we are planting a tree that we may never see grow, but we really believe that seed that we planted, probably 100, however many, like there's all these little trees, and those trees are going to grow trees, and it's going to keep on happening. So that's the intentional but unintentional piece of being a leader. Are those good, strong, healthy trees, or are those trees struggling? And that really depends on you as a leader and what you're making happen. And then when it's time to move on, there's no way. It's going to hurt. And I'm sorry, I wish it wouldn't. But to Bob's point, if you're doing a great job, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt you, and it's going to unfortunately hurt your team, which hurts you even more. But at some point, you will have to make a choice where this is what I need to do for Josh, or what I need to do for Bob.
I mean, I almost feel like this song, like it's gotta hurt.
That's a song?
I don't know. There's got to be a song in there, a little riff in there. Metacasters, here in the States, this is the week. This is Thanksgiving week for Josh and I.
Mm-hmm.
So if you celebrate Thanksgiving or are into gratitude at all, we are grateful for you as listeners, and we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. If you don't celebrate it, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving anyway. So from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And beautiful downtown Fuquay, Verita, North Carolina.
I am Bob, the Hitman Galen.
And I'm Josh, the Anvil Anderson.
Yeah, Anvil, you go.
Shake and bake.
Take care, y'all.
Oh, I knew it was trouble when you took that pause. Like, I got to come up with something.
No, that's a good one for you. I am the Anvil.